Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery podcast are proud to bring you Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast. Join your hosts, Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, as they address the real issues in health and wellness for first responders. From physical and mental health to relationships and work-life balance, we leave no stone unturned. Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as iHeartRadio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery answering the calls.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, and I'm here
with Jersey Ed, guys.
That's it.
How's it going, Podfather?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to today's show. We got a real special guest on, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But
we do. Hotdog Joe, he goes
we've
by.
Been busy. Oh, we love Hotdog Joe. Not only does he have a good product, smart beyond belief, but just such a good person. Always helping. 24/7, 365.
Absolutely.
And any police officer, anybody in EMS, especially cops, if you're saying prayers at night, say a little prayer for Joe, because he definitely is the type of guy that he'll be there for you. He won't even know you, and he'll be there for you.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, he's like you. I think both you guys were cut out the same mold, man. You guys will go above and beyond for everybody. And we're going to bring him on here in a minute, but just the passion that he has to help the police officers, because he was there. He'll tell him. But listen, Joe has been on the show probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 times already. So go back and listen to some of the other shows. We got a really good topic we're going to talk about today. But before we go into that, I just want to make sure we can get a hold of you. Have a question for Joe or any of us. You can call us at 617-379-1163, 617-379-1163, or email us at help@Friends in Recovery Podcast. That's help@Friends in Recovery Podcast. And also, if you want to kind of find us on Facebook, there's a Facebook page for us, Mike. You and I have a Facebook page at Answering the Call. So
go.
Yes. So go on the Facebook thing and just type in Friends in Recovery Answering the Call and like us and follow us. And I think we have all kinds of social media stuff. But Joe, Hotdog Joe, welcome to the show again.
Hey guys. Thanks for the kind words, but don't let anybody know, because I am a retired Revere cop and I have a reputation out there. For those in Massachusetts, kind of know the running joke there. But,
well, you just got to say Revere, and that says it all, right there.
That's it.
Thanks for the kind words, and it's guys like Mike, and I had people that helped me along the way, and that's the key. And just giving it back, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. He's been on the show so much that he has an old school shirt of ours. Anybody who's not watching, it's our old logo. If you can see, there it is. He's sporting the shirt.
And I have a few
on the back. What's that?
I have a few of those left. If anybody wants one, give us a call or send us a email or a text, and I'll mail you a shirt.
We'll get it out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely get it out for you guys.
Still got a few left.
Good. And we're getting new ones. So Joe, what's been going on in your world since we last talked? We spoke.
Yeah, for those who don't know me, my real name is Joe Rizzuti. It's not Joe Hot Dogs. I like to say, medically retired, disability out of the city of Revere, which is, for the national audience, it's located north of Boston. It's a very colorful city. It's trying to use nice words. It's a great city, very colorful. And it was a dream come true for me to become a patrolman there, a city I grew up in and lived in. And it killed me retiring. And that ties into this whole addiction, piece. But what's going on is, the profession that I love so much is under attack. Public safety in general is being taxed to the limit. Fire, EMS, corrections, nursing. My wife's a teacher. God love her. I know how she's doing it. But our police officers they're taking it hard.
Well, it's really tough here in Massachusetts too, because we're one of the states that just put through a bill that really limits.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And we have a Republican governor in name only. I mean, he's the most liberal governor I've ever seen. But and it's unfortunate, but there's a liberal attorney general, and it goes right down the line. But police officers' job, we know. I worked the streets 28 years. It's hard enough to put somebody under arrest, but to limit you to use force on somebody because you saw something on TV or because one person who happened to be a police officer murdered somebody. I mean, if we had to make decisions on how we were going to approach certain occupations because of one incident, you know what? This country would be pretty messed up right now.
In that whole, I had the honor to be an assistant lobbyist. I'm a big FOP guy. We're the largest in the country, as you know, and we're just getting here in Massachusetts, but we're doing a great job. To see the disregard and the disrespect when they put that bill together for us in Massachusetts. And listen, I'm all for transparency. I wanted the cameras. I was sick and tired of these false citizens complaints.
Cameras all day long.
Criminals lie, and defense attorneys tell their criminals. I mean,
and attorneys lie too.
Listen, I came to the station. You can look it up. I come to the station one night after locking up somebody, and I go, "What is Channel 5 doing here?" They're going there. They're here for you. I had locked up a guy who wouldn't show me his hands, and long story short, but he went to go hire an attorney who was a friend of mine, and it was a complete lie. Never retracted. Right. It happens all the time. So, but anyways, again, that's where the frustrations are coming in. I'm just a bozo on the bus. Mike, you and Ed see it. I volunteer up at the on-site. I'm very active in the addiction field up here, as just trying to help other police, fire, and EMS.
For our listeners and viewers, to tell them what the On-Site Academy is.
Yeah.
We work well with On-Site. It started about the same time as Genesis does. We weren't a medical detox, but we were founded by Valerie and Hayden Duggan, who are two amazing. I call by Blue Angel. The Blue Angels are not just the Navy team; they're the police and fire people that help. So it's a residential facility that's based on the Mitchell model and the principles of the 12 steps that help folks with post-traumatic stuff and addiction. They started in 92 or 93. It's a farm, but we work well with Genesis and the other places that have first responder recovery programs. They're like the finishing school. I mean, you get, I call it, that and a good, Mike, this is where the plug goes for Mike in his profession, a good clinician. You cannot be in recovery or get your trauma stuff without a good vetted public safety clinician.
Right. I'm trying to show you a 1993 article. I'm going to just put this up real quick.
Yeah.
On Hayden Duggan, Mike Miles, and Tommy Fleming, 1993. And I don't know if you can see it there, but that was a front page Lowell Sun article about stress busters helping cops. That was 93.
Imagine that, Mike. You've been doing it. You've been doing it forever, brother.
From 87. Started in 87. But Hayden Duggan and his wife, I mean, they were right there in the beginning. Dr. James Reese. I was watching.
He just passed.
I was watching one of those shows and on TV. What is it called? It's a great show.
Dr. Phil?
No, it's an action-packed FBI show. They're profilers. Yeah. And they actually quote Dr. James Reese on the TV show.
Oh, wow.
The whole Mindhunter series was John Douglas. Mike is an MP quote because I'm a brother MP.
Yeah.
Bob Bressler was when I was at MP school, Bob Bressler, the late profiler, was a lieutenant colonel in the reserves, taught a class I went to. Imagine that in 84.
Right.
Oh my God.
But I got to meet Jim Reese because of Tom Greenhall, another amazing man, at one of our conferences, and he passed just about 2 years ago of cancer.
For any cop out there that might be struggling with the job or anything, there's a piece written by Dr. James Reese. It's called "Policing a Violent Society." It's about a 5-page read, but I got to tell you, this was written back in the 70s or early 80s. I think it was mid 70s by Dr. Reese. And he spoke at 2 of our conferences. Tom Fleming had him actually come in as a keynote speaker. Just an honor to meet a guy like that. And, this morning I was reading some of your notes that you sent me up, Joe. And, in this state, a lot of cops retire on disabilities. They get injured. I mean, it's a tough job. But and even if you retire properly, not properly, but conventionally, meaning you have the amount of time, 31 years, and you are 55 years old, that gives you your full retirement. Only 13% of us make it to that.
Wow.
Number two, there's no exit interviews in this profession. You think in a profession like this, where it's such a high risk of suicide, divorce, addiction, everything, that there would be these lobbyists and these politicians ought to be looking at helping cops, not trying to hinder them, and they ought to be looking at the rate of suicide and everything, and make it mandatory to have an exit interview before they leave this job.
Well, I had 2 trash bags, and nothing against my department. It's just the way it was. I went on a medical, and I had, my knee had to be redone, and it was time. But I had 2 trash bags, and nobody was around. People were busy. My 2 partners wanted to take me out to lunch, and I just grabbed a cigar, got in my car, and that was it.
That was it, right? 30 years down, 20.
I did 21.
Yeah, you just drive away.
But Mike, like you mentioned, the danger part. I think Boston did a study years ago. Their numbers was like 5 years after a regular retirement. People were dying.
Sure.
I wrote, for you guys that don't know, I mean, I wrote this comic book. I wrote a book, and I wrote about.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a copy of it here.
I got to get another. I did it for academic sense. I just did it because it gave me a sense of purpose when I was trying to.
A cop story. That's the name.
Yeah, it was a great tool because every one of us in law enforcement has a story. Right. My thing is, I have a learning disability. I spelled cat with a K. If you look at the way here, it's the cat with a K.
Cop story. Okay.
But what I'm getting at is, I talked about 12 people who I lost. And half of them were done. Half of them died of heart attacks.
Right.
Almost all of them had
a heart bill. Sure.
It was the stress.
Yeah.
Again.
Right.
What's the word? We talk about isolation and recovery, and we're talking, the alcohol, the bottle. TV made it glamorous. I come to the job the first 5 years. I don't really remember. It was the choir practice. Joe Wambach's book. That's what the job was about. That's how you got rid of your stress. You didn't.
Well, that's Podfather. You just keep talking about that. The choir practice. That's what you guys back to work. You guys went to choir practice.
The church. The August. Us was the August moon. But what I'm getting at is, I can see because of Jenna's house and a lot of these programs like this, this podcast that you guys are doing are phenomenal. I go to a badge meeting out in LA at 10 o'clock at night. I see the trend changing. The younger cops, the veterans are doing the debriefings. They're using the different skills.
Right.
We're lucky in Massachusetts. Mike hit it on a medical retirement. We get a decent pension. Cops throughout the country don't have this.
No.
And
it's funny you say that because from state to state, it's different. Massachusetts, hands down, you guys have a great union up there. You great retirement. I mean, throughout from every aspect in Massachusetts. It's a states like Florida and Alabama and all those states. Yeah, that are those guys don't have a chance, especially the cops. I mean, they get somewhat of a pension, but these guys have to open up a landscaping company after they retire.
The PTS stuff, Mike knows, is horrible because, a lot of I wouldn't say I'm anti-chief. I'm a union guy. I'm a patrol guy, but I do refer to them as the thieves of police of Massachusetts, not the chiefs, because a lot of them, their egos are bigger than their heads.
Oh, let me tell you.
And the problem is they call this thing called administrative betrayal. Mike's laughing because he knows where I'm coming from.
Right.
And we see a lot of that at the on-site. And I get a lot of friends, great guys.
Right.
The ones who understand that, the nitpicking, you don't need to do that.
Right.
If your guy's having a hard time, you need to get them help.
Hey,
Those are the ones who get Boston PD. Look at the success that Commissioner Ross got.
Sure.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I've seen chiefs of police over the years from my city, Lowell, where I worked. I'll tell you, if people had spoken up, they never would have been sitting in that chair because some of their past antics and behavior and actions were just horrible. But that's just how it goes. I'm a firm believer in cameras. I really am. I think it's going to tell the story.
Yep.
I don't know how a lawyer would figure out a way around it if it's right there, but they would. They'd figure.
Oh, they will.
Right? they would.
Well, listen, I call them the alphabet groups. We got these groups now that don't want the cameras in Massachusetts, or they don't want them in certain areas. They want them. You can't have it both ways.
No.
Well, listen, if you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not doing anything shady or shitty, it doesn't matter about a camera.
Yeah, to protect you.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing that we're seeing, though. You get the officer with, I tell officers now, if you get 20 years in Massachusetts or 20 years throughout the country, it's time to really look at your retirement because you were trained. Mike was trained different, not too much different than I was, but you know, I had an old timer from Boston say, "Hey Joe, we had to adapt with the Miranda warning." They complained about having Miranda, right?
Right, right.
About 69 or 67, the Miranda came in.
67, yeah.
But it was different. They had the tools to do the job.
Right.
We just passed a law in Massachusetts. We just seen this craziness at the Capitol. Well, Massachusetts, they don't want you to use tear gas.
No.
They don't want you. They don't want you to have a water cannon. Just when you think about, the long guns,
they're limiting you to deadly force, basically.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you just hit it. That's a cop talking. You just hit the nail on the head because what's the alternative?
Yeah.
What's the alternative? You're setting the officer up to fail.
Yeah.
Well, you got a taser. They're even allowed in tasers in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with tasers in the winter, if any tactical guys would say, tasers in the winter environment don't work.
Oh, okay.
Same with OC. I worked in a beach community. I sprayed more of my partners than I did the
Right.
And that's the truth because the wind comes back at you.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with tasering, I've had a couple of unfortunate incidents that we had to reach out to officers. The subject was on fentanyl. Well, in this case, it was a cocaine substance, and he died because of the tase. It wasn't the officer's fault. But the problem is in the wintertime, those prongs don't go into the coats.
Right.
So it doesn't work.
No, if you have a heavy jacket on, it's just going to bounce off. It'll connect to the jacket, but
yeah,
it's got to hit the skin,
So there's a lot of, they're limiting the tools. They'll spend more money on a cruiser than they will on mental health.
Oh,
and that's the truth. When you look at the budget, they will spend more money to fix their cruisers than they will on getting an officer help.
Right.
Boston figured it out. Boston realized, hey, you have a good wellness program.
Yeah.
It saves money in the long run.
Yeah.
But the smaller departments throughout the country, the chiefs look at it as, well, this is a slap on me. It isn't. It's the job.
Yeah, exactly. It's a job. Real quick, guys, we're going to take a break here.
Yes,
We're going to, when we come back, we'll continue this. Also, I want to get everybody's view from being from being police officers and everything about the Washington, D.C. debacle down there. And let's talk a little bit about that. Let's stir the pot a little bit here, guys. All right.
We'll be back. Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast, sponsored to you by FirstNet, built by AT&T. I'm the Podfather. We'll be right back.
You're first. First to respond. First to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first. That connects you to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. Built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only congressionally authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Everybody, welcome back. Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. And we are sponsored by FirstNet, built by AT&T. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, and I'm here with
Jersey Ed, everybody. And,
Jersey Ed.
We're here with our special guest, Joe's Hot Dogs.
Joe's Hot Dogs.
Joe's Hot Dogs. Hey, real quick, guys, I really wanted to just talk about that AT&T, well, the FirstNet built by AT&T commercial. Joe, I don't know if you have any experience with them, but they
excellent product. Absolutely.
He does, yeah.
Good. And they're now a sponsor of our show, and it's been
Awesome.
just amazing. Like everybody talking about them and this whole network that they built together. So FirstNet, built by AT&T. We love you guys, and keep up the good work, keeping our first responders safe. We really appreciate it. So,
Absolutely.
also for any police officers that are looking to talk or looking to, maybe they have an issue that they want to talk about, copline.org.
Excellent.
It's Copline, COPLINE.org, or 1-800-COPLINE. That's 1-800-267-5463. They have over 100 volunteer cops that will be there to assist you, night, day, whatever. So if you guys are feeling a little kind of upset or whatever, or, just not feeling right, please don't hesitate to call that number. Also, get to an emergency room, talk to somebody. We've seen it, Joe, you've seen it. We all seen it that, if you don't talk and you don't get it out, we don't like that outcome that happens.
They're good friends of our friends at bluehelp.com.
Oh, good.
Karen Solomon, who's been doing amazing work, who now are going to be tracking all public safety suicides.
Really?
So if your listeners are looking to see some heart-wrenching stuff and get some education, check out bluehelp.com.
Bluehelp.com, right? Yeah, get over there. Yeah, Karen, I know Karen and all those guys over there too. So, but
I can remember there was a time when you're looking for help, myself personally, and it was just so sparse. There wasn't a lot. It was Eddie Donovan. That was it.
Yes, he's still alive.
Yeah, I know. And there was the Mattapan meetings, and and then all of a sudden it was just one cop helping another cop, and then it's been great. And now as an old man, I look back and I can see that all that hard work and it just turned into, we have a mecca now. We have so many options. You mentioned Kristen Leary, going in the direction she's going. It just.
But if we didn't have the guys like you pushing to do what you guys did way back when, and still pushing today, it wouldn't be set up the way it is today.
The facility that I volunteer at on site, we see people come through there as, heroes that are bent. They get unbent and they get excited about helping others, and they go on. And we've spawned, more than our share of people who get doctorate degrees and get in this. There's now a program specific. It's like a master's in public safety psychology out of Colorado.
Yeah,
that are being offered. So,
Yeah.
anyways, good stuff.
Yeah, no, good
Very
stuff.
good
Absolutely,
stuff. Very
absolutely.
good stuff.
So before the break, I know this is a touchy situation for everybody, but I want to talk about what's going on down in Washington, D.C. Me as a civilian, you guys as police officers. I mean, we help police officers and first responders, but what's everybody's thoughts on that? What went through your guys' heads as police officers? I don't want to rock the boat too much, but that's a lot of stuff is going on down there. A lot of stuff can go wrong or go sideways.
Well, I'll just say real quick, and then I'll give Joe a second. I go back to Ferguson, Missouri, several years ago when Michael Brown was shot by Officer Wilson, and all the lies that come out of that, news media putting their hands up, don't shoot, because allegedly that's what Michael Brown said. Not true. That didn't happen at all. The Justice Department determined that. And Eric Holder was in charge back then, Obama administration. And then I look at what happened out in Seattle last year. All the different buildings that were burnt in Baltimore, Seattle, Wyoming. It just makes me sick to my stomach because nobody was doing a thing to stop it. They were telling the cops to stand down. Now you see what happened in Washington, and they're going to blame, they're blaming the ex-president, and any cop that is worth his salt will tell you, and I know two Capitol police officers that I'm never mentioning their names, but they both are assigned down there, and they were also told to stand down before any of this happened, and until it got to a point where it was. And I just think it's, to me, when I see all these soldiers down there, this is window dressing for one political party to make believe that it's so bad now that we can't even have a normal inauguration. I really believe the reason they're doing it, my opinion, is because he wouldn't get 500 people there, to be honest with you. And they don't want to show the country exactly who the next president's going to be in a few days. And I'll tell you, going forward, it's going to be the proof. We'll see what happens with law enforcement going forward. I don't think it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's a tough situation down there, guys, and you know. I heard some stories, and of course, this is all just all of our opinions. This is the opinion of not of the show, but just opinions of individuals that they told that the Capitol Police were calling in for help, and they were not responding immediately. They told like you just said, Podfather, stand down, stand down. Like our Capitol, I don't care if you're whatever side of the aisle on. If our Capitol building's being desecrated, get in there, get these guys out. I don't care what side of the aisle it is, get them out, because that should have not happened. Number one, that just the other thing too, it kills me is that this is more publicized than Seattle burning down, than
Exactly.
all those fires all over the place. Minneapolis, we have cop friends in St. Paul. The horrors that went on over there.
Absolutely.
And again, that's just my opinion,
Right.
but it just sickens me to see all this happening.
And Mike, May 31st of this year, one of the worst riots in the city of Boston that the media called it a peaceful protest.
Yes, the governor did. The governor did.
I sat in I've been involved in, the debriefing end. My friends were on the line. I watched a friend of mine. She got hit in the head with a brick. I seen, I talked to commanders on the ground. We had a governor call it a peaceful. Listen, the peaceful protest stops when the first brick is thrown.
Yes.
Okay. They took away the tools. Now I am not a racist. I hate being labeled as a racist because it's a uniform I used to wear.
You're a cop. You're a racist.
This goes back to listen. President Obama had Bill Ayers, the weatherman. Mike, just going back to Mike, a guy was the head of a domestic terrorist organization that killed police officers. They killed one of your Jersey troopers, Ed.
That's right.
LaMonica, right? And Walter Schroeder, one of the Schroeder brothers. And he had him at the White House. He called this his mentor.
Yeah.
You have Mrs. Evil, Alana Presley, who called for the riots.
Right.
You can't have, if you want to impeach the president, they're going to do what they want to do. But it can't be on both sides. The fact of the matter is, I'm listening to my friends down there. They set those Capitol cops up to feel from day one.
Yeah.
It come over the net. The mayor of Washington D.C. refused to help 2 days before. That just came out, but that's okay. I'm a former National Guard, active Army, National Guard MP. The tools were available to them. They refused the tools. Ed, you talked about the summer of the city's burning. When President Trump wanted to send the troops into Portland, what was the answer? No.
Right.
Nope.
Right.
We've got a society after Ferguson. We don't have money in policing, right? Because all the policing money's gone. So when we had a chance called a program called Northstar to get the scary military equipment that saves lives, because the only people that have the assault rifles are the bad guys that we're not putting in jail.
Right.
The bottom line, and my blood boils, they won't let the officers wear the helmets or the tactical vests because it looks too scary. Too scary for Nancy Pelosi and the friends at the State House.
Right.
She's got 20,000 troops protecting their area up there.
Oh yeah.
How many? We had National Guard troops in Boston, but not. Listen, our cops did those cops in Capitol. I was down there for Gibson and Cheston. I'll never forget. I was down there with Mike's brothers from the whole PD. It was a crazy train ride going down. But we had 2 police officers killed in '96 down at the Capitol. They got killed. One of them was from Waltham, Massachusetts. Wow. Those people have paid. People forget about the suicide. Officer Lindquist that died of suicide during this thing. This is real. All of a sudden now it's okay to have the military equipment. But where were these people during the summer? They're so such hypocrites.
It's sad because of the politics.
Forget my blood pressure going, guys.
But I look
Get a little cardio in today.
You got Maxine Waters telling people to get in their faces, get up in their faces. Don't let them rest. Don't let them go into restaurants. I mean, basically what she's saying is go harass and attack these politicians or anybody that might agree with this side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Bottom line is going forward from this 21st on, it's going to be a whole new regime, and you watch how things are going to change. and you watch how COVID all of a sudden is going to be, hey, open up the restaurant. It's good now. It's good. Everything's going to be wonderful. It's all going to be peaches and cream.
Do you guys remember Beargate with Mike Crowley? Great guy, right? The whole bullshit that went on with
the Bear Summit. The Bear Summit, right?
You know, but we have a DA in Suffolk County, Massachusetts. It's insane. She's the biggest hypocrite.
She's out of her mind.
She just got caught.
Yep, I saw it.
Right? She had road rage. I think she probably had a bad ice cube. It sounds like she flipped on blue lights, which she's not authorized to do.
Right. She's a racist. She's a horrible person.
And there's a great reporter called Turtle Boy. I think he's a great reporter.
I think he is too.
I think he just proved the fact that, you know, she lied. She said
lied
to a news reporter that confronted her. She said, "I don't want you filming my kids," but yet she was on the Netflix documentary called The Trial 4, showing her kids.
Right.
And she when in doubt, she whipped the race card out. And again, this is not about race. All we're asking is to be fair.
And she's going to get a promotion. She's going to be getting a promotion by this administration soon. You watch. She will. Marty Walsh. Look at the mayor in Boston.
Oh, he's down there now, right?
You talk about a bozo, a guy that's.
But here's this is what we're just talking about. You see how quick I got worked up? Our officers that are on the line, that's just what happens to them. By 100 times first. They hit and they go home. If they don't have the tools, Mike, and you know they're hitting the bottle or listen.
Right. I wonder if Marty Walsh is hitting the bottle. He introduces.
I don't know about that. But I'm trying to put the point in is listen. These guys that work 100 hours all of a sudden now got to go home to their families that they haven't seen anymore.
Right.
They've got the added stress of living in the house, right? We're seeing the domestics kind of act up. There's nothing good that can come from this. So this is why we have to have these programs in place. And that's why we're here, right? That's our mission. Our mission is to prevent the end game is to prevent somebody from getting hurt or dying early or suiciding. And that's my purpose.
I'm just a firm believer in AA and in the teachings of AA. And what it says in AA basically is not to use your platform, to make yourself look something that you're not. And for him to be at the National Association or the Democratic National Association or whatever they had together back there, and introduced himself as Marty Walsh. I'm Marty Walsh. I'm an alcoholic. That to me was so disturbing. People laughed. They thought it was funny, but you know what? It's not funny. It's sad. It's sad that introduction is meant for the halls of AA, not for public.
No, yeah. Right. Well, that's in our literature saying that of what's it's one of the traditions, right? One of the traditions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be humble. Yeah.
Listen, Dr. Duggan got a great saying: "If you see Buddha on the side of the road, kill him." And I love it because Rule 32, Rule 62. We got to be humble. We can't.
Yes, Rule 62. Yeah.
62. But I became a cop to help people. I find this is what I'm just a bozo in the bus. I'm not a psychologist. I got a bachelor's in criminal justice, law enforcement management. I couldn't pass the sergeant's exam. Okay, to tell you where you can wipe your rear end with those degrees, right? Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, I get more helping my brothers and sisters like Mike and Ed. You do, because you know what they're doing. They're the ones when the rubber hits the road, Mike. When you go to that call, Mike can attest us. We've got less than 5 minutes to determine. If they're going to be arrested. We're trying to get people's life's problems in 5 minutes. And then when you're human and you make a mistake, it's a mistake, a tactical error. It's not racist. No. If you look at 90% of these are tactical errors.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. 35 years in uniform in the city of Lowell, very diverse city, and not once did I ever see racism from a cop to a civilian. I've seen it the other way, but I've never ever worked with a cop, male or female, old or young, that acted in a racist way. Never saw it. So, for the media to paint most cops as racist and scaring all these young black men are afraid, the mothers say they're afraid to go out. And I believe they are afraid because they're hearing it all. And, all you got to do is, hey, when the cop stops you, you do what you're asked to do, period.
Criminals come in all shapes, colors, sizes, sexual orientation. Right. The problem we have, nobody hates bad cops more than the good cops.
That's right.
Listen, look at where I worked, okay? I mean, and I say that lovingly because the folks before me, we had some crazy stuff going on at my job.
Right.
But the bottom line is, this is where transparency. Yeah, that's why Mike said we love the cameras, transparency, but it's also going to have transparency from the top. You can't have chiefs preaching this about their patrol, and as we've just seen with our local departments, the chief with the big head that's making crazy money, and he's torturing people up here.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. It's crazy.
When that cop was kneeling on that suspect, Mr. Floyd, when he was on his neck, he murdered him. He murdered him.
Oh,
Right,
absolutely.
100%. He's
I don't know
bad
one
cop.
police officer. I don't know one police officer that would say, "Oh, that's just standard procedure." That was murder. He murdered him. No one's disputing it. Put him in jail. Give him the chair. Whatever you want to do. Of course, in this country, he'll probably get a couple of years or whatever. But you know what? We saw it. We agree. Not gonna be cops doing that.
No.
Don't let the media steal us. And I'll say one thing I've learned over these last 4 years, whether you like Trump or not, or whatever, President Trump, you know what? Fake media, 100%. I've seen it. I knew it 20 years before Trump said it. Fake media. They will torture you. They will ruin you without any remorse at all. And they
because
lie.
because the lady crossing the road or the cop getting a cat out of a tree, that doesn't sell newspapers or sell
Right.
stories on TV.
Right.
It's shit like that happens, you know.
Right. We had a reporter named Todd Wojniak up at the Globe. He ran a story about 10 years ago or 8 years ago about cops getting arrested for OU and I getting away with it. And he triggered one of my guys. And I went out of my mind. And a good friend of mine is a reporter, a friend of mine over at the Globe. I called him, and she set up a meeting. I met him at a McDonald's, and I brought him a stack of books, the Shattered Badge, Gil Martin's book. And after that conversation, I said, "Have you ever gone on a ride along with a police officer?" He said, "No." I said, "You know what our culture is? No." I said, "You know that all these people that you talked about were found guilty?" He's knocking on our guys' doors, asking them about OUIs.
Right.
I says, "Why don't you take the time to see what the stress is?"
No, they don't want to. No, yeah, they don't. They never will.
It
either.
sells papers.
Right.
It sells papers, sells papers. Puts it. That's what it's about, And listen, we're running out of time here, guys.
Yeah.
There's a bad apple in every bunch. I don't care what
100%.
what there is.
100%.
The presidency has bad apples.
Absolutely.
Cops,
the Congress, the Senate, right? They got more than one. Let me tell you that.
Yeah,
they got a bunch on both sides of the aisle. On both sides of the aisle.
Exactly, 100%. And any
term limits.
Only
thing that's going to save us is term limits, and you're never going to see it.
No
hypocrites. We got to get rid of the hypocrites in this country.
Yeah. But here's
my lifetime.
here's the ironic part of it. We're all going to talk about this. We're all going to go home. But you know what? When something happens and that phone call is made, and there needs to be a police officer there, it doesn't matter what their political affiliation is. They're going to do everything they can, possibly even give up their lives to protect that fucking person.
I've called you, Eddie, for assistance. I've called Joe. Joe's called me. Joe's called you. You've called me, Joe. Not once did anyone ever say, "Hey, how does he vote? How does she vote?"
Exactly.
I pray for
what color are they?
Those guys and girls at the Capitol.
God bless them.
They held the line that day with no resources, no manpower, no manpower. I'm trying to be politically correct. I can't come up with the word for that one. But think those legislators owe them their lives.
Right.
They should be thankful for the men and women of the Capitol Police or the policing down there. They did an amazing job. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the National Guard MPs that are down there now.
You didn't hear anybody.
And let's get this straight, guys. What happened down there was completely bad, disgusting, horrible.
Right.
If Trump incited it or not, it will be to be determined. Whatever it is, it just should have not happened, no matter what. But by no means are we on the board with that. We are completely against what happened down there.
And not only that, but any police officer will tell you our worst nightmare is these white supremacist groups that are out there. They're the ones that are armed. They're the ones that are organized, and they think we heard this. They think they're part of you or they're affiliated with you. No, we want nothing to do with you, pal.
Right. Just like Black Lives Matter. Nobody should have anything to do with them either. And you know what? It's not politically correct to say that. But when you look back 2 years ago, what was going on a year and a half ago, and who started it and who was marching in the streets, and you see these signs up, you know what? To me, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's a tough world out there, guys. So, Joe, thank you so much
Thank
for being
you,
a guest. I know we rocked the boat a little bit here on this show,
absolutely,
but that's okay.
I went to a while throwing the rocks. It's good.
Absolutely. And Podfather, the great show, guys. Joe, come back 100 times, please. You know,
Joe.
you're
Keep up the
always
good work.
yes.
Ed,
Keep
Mike,
up the good work.
and hopefully see you this summer at the Hotdog Con.
We'll see you there, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
Podfather,
Joe.
want to take us out?
Talk to you soon. Sure, absolutely. Answering the call, the First Responders podcast.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe. Great show.
Take care, guys.